Hi, it's Claudia, and these are my words of wisdom. I am going to talk about these last few days and the practice of stillness and what came up for me during this time. It actually started a few weeks ago where I was feeling called to do a liver cleanse, sort of to just look after my body in a way that it I felt like it needed. And so I set aside some time, and it actually worked out to be alongside with the spring equinox, which is cool. And so I kind of said, okay, well, Friday and Saturday, I'm just going to block that time off at home and really just kind of cocoon and really just embrace the experience. I feel like when you do a something physically, whether a cleanse or a detox, it's also bringing up emotions that may be stuck in your body in certain places. It could bring up just energy. It can just bring up so many things. And so I felt that I was going to really put the time and the effort into doing this whole process. And it was interesting because I think around Thursday, it's all of a sudden I'm like being guided. I'm like, you need to go off social media. You need to like just really start to cocoon, let go of the distractions, let go of, what keeps your focus outside of you. And it was really like, you need to come inside. You need to, be in your own space, your own energy, be in that stillness and see what you can learn about yourself, see what you're going to feel, experience. And so I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm used to listening to my body. And so when I'm guided to do something, I do it. And I found throughout the years it actually gets easier to do, and I can do that. And so I started preparing Thursday, started being mindful of the food I was eating, drinking the water, making sure I was sort of starting to minimize what I was going to eat. During the cleanse, you're drinking some not so nice stuff, and you're not eating during that period of time. I continued on after just to do a 24-hour water cleanse after because that's what I felt my body was calling for. So I went a few days without really eating anything. And so on the Friday, it was like, yeah, this is the time that I needed to really listen to myself. And so um, I just put everything away. I put the phone away. I wasn't watching any shows. I wasn't listening to anything. I mean, I'm a big person who loves her music, especially because I love to dance. And I barely did that. I probably did in 4 days, 30 minutes, which is amazing for me. And I didn't even read. I didn't even read a book. I did do a puzzle. And that was fun because my daughter actually started to do the puzzle with me. And that was sort of in the beginning of it, just to sort of, I think, unwind and just bring myself back and just kind of like do something that was really going to just keep me very quiet. And then came the time of where I would just sit in my own silence. I'd sit in my own energy, whether I was on the couch, whether I was in my room, my bedroom, whether I was outside. And some things did come up, some old stories, some illusions, things that are holding me back, things that just don't align anymore with who I am, and how can I look at something differently? I mean, I don't know, I don't actually remember because that was more on the Friday, that I was starting to feel, certain areas of my life that I needed to look at, certain thoughts that I needed to look at and just kind of let it go, and the relationships I have, who's in alignment with me, who's looking at life in the same way, and who are the people that are pulling me out of that peace, looking at everybody and kind of just taking note of what is occurring in my life, and and how I'm handling things, and I journaled a lot, which was nice. Yeah, I went outside, and so the Friday it was more of reflecting. And then I found Saturday to just really be in my own energy, really be in the presence of who I am. And you know what? That's what happened is when I said no to these other distractions, no to my phone, no to social media, no to like listening to podcasts or looking at TV shows or I mean, I don't really watch TV shows to be honest. I might watch a film here or there. Not reading a book, not listening to music. When I said all these no things, I didn't even actually clean my house. There were a lot of things I could have done in my house and outside of my house, and I said no. And I didn't work out. I said I'm going to completely give myself 100%. And what I gained was the presence of who I am. I really came back to myself and I could feel it. I could feel in everything I did when the kids were around, and they weren't around that often, but when they were, I was completely focused on them. I was present for them because I was present for me. And when I went outside on Saturday, it was a beautiful day, and it was like I was listening to the birds. I could feel the wind. I was feeling the warmth of the sun. I was seeing the bees fly around. The bees are coming. But I could hear it differently. I could feel it differently. I was experiencing it all differently. It was like my perception had changed. The depth of how I was receiving things was different. It was being amplified in a way that was like, this is cool. Like, I'm experiencing this. I'm in it fully. And it was like, I felt like the earth was alive, but I think it's because I was right there with it. And I was not distracted. I was fully present that I could experience it all. And it was beautiful. And I could feel that I was looking at it differently. I could feel that I was experiencing it differently. And it was so cool and I loved it. And that was what was coming to me is that my presence is so important. I'm so important. That we are, as individuals, are so important. We're more important. We're more important than whatever you're going to watch on TV. You're more important than whatever you're going to look on social media. Your truth is more important than any of that, and that we're actually very powerful beings, and if we really took the time, we would know that. But we get distracted by all these other things that we're trying to input all the time. And sometimes you need to take away from that. You need to stop. You need to say, I'm not going into input. I'm just going to sit quietly. What's my input? What am I saying? What is my truth? How do I want to live? Who are the people of value? What connections do I have? And less is more, and I'm thinking less of the distractions, more of presence, more of what I really want to be and how I want to live. The experiences, the adventures, the people. Finding those deep connections with people are the ones that you already have. Really nurturing it, being present for them. How often are you talking to somebody and you're texting at the same time? No. How often do you have your phone by when you're eating dinner? I don't put my phone, and I actually don't have my phone at bedtime. I actually keep it downstairs. I keep it out of my room. Because these are all important things. How do we live, like truly live, if we're constantly taking in information all the time? And then it's like, well, what information is true? What is not true? What do I know to be true? What resonates with me? What doesn't resonate with me? We're meant to have these breaks where we just take everything back. Everything. And so we can get clarity about ourselves. You can't go nonstop. You have to stop sometimes. You know, a lot of people will take vacations, but they're still busy on those vacations. You know, but you need them. You need that change from work. If you're working, you know, all week and 9 to 5 and you have the stress, you're like, okay, it's time to take a vacation now. Well, I'm just saying, even if you're at home and you're constantly inputting stuff, you need to say no to everything. And I did that, and I gained so much from it. I gained so much from it. It was just, you know, I slowly started to come back today. You know, back with some soups and light stuff, and I still haven't been on social media, but I am doing this video, so um, not reading anything and hardly any music because I just wanted to gradually bring myself back. You know, but I have a different outlook now. I truly do. And even the foods that I eat and how I eat. Am I rushing through it? Am I just grabbing the food because I'm just grabbing it? Like, can I be mindful of what I'm eating? I mean, I ended up having an orange today. It was like the best orange ever. It just tasted so good. I'm like, I gotta have more of these oranges. And it was like taking the time and space, like to come back, but to do it slowly and to see what resonated and um, you know, what tasted really good, and did my body enjoy it? You know, like, was that the right thing for me? And and so, you know, what I'm going to say is this word keeps coming on repeat for me is simplicity, the simpleness of everything. You know, and I think that's so important. Is bringing things back in simple ways. You know, it took us a long time to get here. You know, the phone came in. I just think of when I was a child, and you know, the hours I spent outside playing. And I had horses when I was younger, and I still do. And you know, they teach me so much. And it's like those simple moments are like, can be the best moments. And especially if you're with people, is having those simple moments, those moments where you can really connect to people. You know, I think we can all do that. And I definitely think we need to connect back to ourselves more and more. That everything just became so distracting. And then there became more distractions and more and more and more. And then we're inundated, and then people are so unhealthy, and we're like, well, why are people so unhealthy? Well, because you're distracted. You're further away from nature, from the earth. And so simple is going back to the earth. It's going back to nature. And I could tell, like, I'm there. It's like, you know, when I was experiencing it outside yesterday, when I go into the forest, I'm like looking at everything in such a different way. There's moss there, there's a nice rock. Oh, this beautiful tree. Look at that tree. I'm constantly like looking at the little things because that matters, you know. Um, Dandelions are coming out now. It's dandelion season. I love dandelions. To me, they're just like this joyful, illuminating flower weed. Weed? Is it really a weed? It's a flower to me. And with so many benefits, the dandelion. But it just brings me joy. And actually, last April, I actually did a video on my Instagram, and I was dancing in the fields. This field that had tons of dandelions. And I just remember feeling so alive. So alive. And most of those moments that I feel most at home, most alive, is when I'm in nature. Where there aren't the distractions or it's not a distraction to be in the forest. It's a blessing. It's like there's so much there. And, really taking things back this weekend or these last 4 days really taught me, of like the importance of it all and the importance of who I am. And, I've done a lot of healing on myself, and that really helped to be able to stay in the stillness for hours, because I was hours in my stillness, in my own energy, in my own thoughts, in my own body. And like I said, there were times of reflections, but there was also times of just being and then really appreciating my body for what it does, my mind for what it does, my soul. Like, there was a lot of gratitude there. And I don't even think people can appreciate what their body does for them or offer it gratitude. And we should, because that's what keeps us going. That's what allows us to live. And that was part of the cleanse is really honoring, my body in a way that I felt I should at this time. And my body feels really good right now. It feels really good. And I do too. Like, I hope you can feel that. I hope you can feel that. Of how how I received myself, and now how I'm receiving my life and the things in my life and what is important to me. And I really want to share this because I want other people. I just hope I inspire you in one way or some ways. And I'm not like, I've always said take baby steps. It's been a few years. I've tried different things that my body called me to do, whether to eat a certain way, to do a cleanse of some sort, to do a detox. I've always listened to myself. And I know that a lot of people will, are saying, you should do it this way or that way. I tend to listen to myself. I tend to listen and kind of do it my way. I listen to my body. I trust my body first and foremost. And you know what? It's always turned out. It's always turned out. I've always gotten something really good when I listen to my body. And it's the same for this. What I just went through. And I am so grateful. And what I'm trying to say in this last part is that just baby steps sometimes. To come back to yourself, to find your body. What does stillness look like? Some people can't stay still at all. They can't be alone with their own thoughts, their own body. So can you try 5 minutes? Can you try 10 minutes? Because I will tell you, that's how I started. They're like, like 6 years ago, I'm like, I'm going to learn how to meditate. Oh, this is really hard. Because my mind was like going and going, and I was just so uncomfortable in my body. I was so uncomfortable. It's taken a lot, and it's taken a lot of work, but they've been baby steps. And I've gotten to here where I could spend hours. I was spending hours just in my own energy, in my own body, just sitting down, lying down. Sometimes my eyes were open and sometimes I closed them. It depended. I just listened. Do I need to keep my eyes open at this part, or do I need to keep my eyes closed? And it was a great experience. I just feel whole. I feel complete. I feel like my heart is really open. I feel like I'm looking at things differently, but in a beautiful way. And I'm really happy right now. And I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad I took the time out these last 4 days and just listened to my body, listened to how I was being guided, what came through for me. Lots of clarity, lots of truth, lots of insights. And I'm excited because I feel like I was in a cocoon and I feel like I'm turning into a butterfly now. And I feel like my life is going to change, that there'll be new experiences, new adventures, new people, and yeah, and deeper connections with the ones I have. I'm really excited. And so, if there's some way of calling yourself back into stillness in some way, listening to your body, what does it need, I recommend you doing it. And like I said, 6 years ago, I could barely spend 5 minutes in my own space. But I just kept doing it. And so, yeah, do that. Always say you're worth it. You are worth it. You are important. There's nobody more important than you are. Nobody. You should be your own truth. Find simplicity. Learn to be in your presence. Learn to be fully living. All right? From my heart to yours. Bye for now.